All right, so picture this. Me, an indigenous American woman living here in Southeast Asia, all while in my homeland of North America, an Asian man just got off scot-free for killing a child again. And then not falling short on me that though I've chosen to move from America to the continent of Asia with no actual regrets, because I had specific reasons for leaving America, just like I have specific reasons for when I shall return. I feel for my people. I feel for all the discourse online that's talking about delineation and separation and getting our neighborhoods back. And you want to know why? Because I'm a woman that was born in 1973. And when I was a child, I say around 1980, my mother moved me and my siblings to a real nice neighborhood. And in that real nice neighborhood we moved to, there was several black-owned businesses, sandwich shops, you know what I mean, candy shops, things of that nature. I can remember as a child going to these stores, walking around to the corner store, some of y'all know about that, with my friends or by myself or with my siblings. I would go to that corner store and give me some snacks after school. Some of those black indigenous store owners knew the children's names in the neighborhood as we knew theirs. One of them, his name was Mr. White, right? I remember because my mama and them, they used to leave money on the dining room table with a note that told me to go walk around in the corner and get my dinner and come back in the house straight away and lock the door behind me and sit down, sit my ass down, eat my food, and then do my homework. Because mom was at work, so she could afford that roof over our head and the clothes and shoes that she put on our backs and on our feet and stuff like that. I remember as a child in the early 80s being told by some of them store owners that this was the last time I was going to see them because they had to close the store down. Yeah, they had to shut their stores down. And I remember the pain in my heart because I was a sensitive little thing, a sensitive child. I was an empath and I could feel their pain. And I didn't have any adults around me who could explain to me what was going on, what was happening. Nobody was telling me about the Racial Integrity Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Yep, that was like, spearheaded by Dr. Martin Luther King. And that act allowed for other ethnic groups to flood into America and not just live in America, but also get funding and tax breaks and tax cuts and, money to start businesses and grow businesses, so long as those businesses was only in the indigenous Black American communities. Yeah, I remember the Asian invasion. I swear to God, I remember being told by the store owners that they was going to have to shut down and that new owners was going to take over the store. Yes, I do. I remember that shit. And I remember before you knew it, Mr. Lee and them came in on the block and took over the stores. And we were still able to go in there and shop and say, hey, how you doing? To buy sandwiches, to buy candy, to buy chips and sodas, and all those types of things that we was doing in the early 80s. I remember very clearly. I do. And then the crack era hit. And then the destruction of hip-hop hit, where hip-hop went from being like the highlight of music of my generation to being about bitches, whores, drugs, killing. My gosh. When you live to be in your 50s, when you live through 5 decades, the things that you've seen, the things that you recognize, the things that you see are cyclic that come back. So when I was growing up, the Asian community or the Asians who own the businesses in our community, they seem to play nice. Okay? Then in the early 90s, I left my hometown and I began living around in different states all across America, right? And I noticed that it wasn't just Philadelphia where I was born and raised where this was happening, that it was all over America. And as I got older and I began learning about the history of America in the 1900s, I began to understand how our business owners back in the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s got their funding revoked. Their ability to be a leaseholder for a business was taken from them. and passed along to other ethnic groups, like the Asian community especially. And I went to school in an area where it was all white people. I got bussed out to school, okay? Part of the Philadelphia back then was called Northeast. It's all niggas out there now, but back then in the 80s when I was in school, it was nothing but white people. Guess who wasn't in their corner stores running businesses in their neighborhood? That's right. There was no Asians, because that was the caveat. Okay, through that Integration Act in 1964, they could come over here and they could get businesses, but I'm going to reiterate, it was only in our neighborhoods. And unbeknownst to me at that time, that things would start getting vile and volatile, because see, our people, the indigenous Black American people, are prisoners of war. Okay, that's our ancestors' land. That's our ancestral land by blood, by bloodline. You see what I'm saying? Prisoners of war. The Asian community now want to throw that slavery word around. Okay, like that shit is funny. But we weren't slaves, in my opinion. We were prisoners of war, and still are today. And Earth is a prison planet. So even when you go around Asia or you go around any of these other continents, you're still going to see patriarchy. You're still going to see oppression. You're still going to see misogyny, colorism, texturism, featureism. It's just a part of being under the umbrella of patriarchy and colonization. Okay, no one really has the right to like bump their gums and talk shit like what's going on in their country or their homeland or their race is just so perfect and good and pristine. Y'all are delusional, and y'all suffering from emotional illness as well as mental illness, because the hate and the vitriol that you have towards people like me, but turn right around and cosplay and imitate us, Black sense, how you dress, how you walk, how you talk, how you sing, how you dance, is given insane. It's given insane in the membrane. Because I remember, I was there. You younger generations, you're just like catching this now. But I actually grew up with it. Okay, so I just wanted to just drop a few jewels of how it was and how we are currently living in a time where we're going to have to like do a look back moment and remember, because see, we can have our own stores and we can support our own businesses in our own communities. It could be online, it could be bartering, it could be, you know what I'm saying, just what's going on in your neighborhood. I see indigenous Black women all up and down the internet selling spice bowls and selling food and selling meals. Them meals be going for them seafood boils and shit. Them spice bowls be going for $200, $300. Sisters is making bank. And when I say sisters, I'm not talking about CIS, cis women. I'm talking about us. Sisters, womb holders are over there making bank. We're going to make sure our children eat. We're going to eat. Our family is going to eat. Entrepreneurship comes natural to the indigenous American woman that y'all misclassify as Black, okay? Because before colonizers got here, we owned the land. We collected the food and the resources. We distributed it to our tribes. Okay, we chose our chiefs. Our chiefs went and talked with other chiefs. We bartered. You know what I'm saying? We protected ourselves. We protected our people. If we had to go to war, we did so. We're remembering. We out here remembering who we is. And if you haven't yet, sit down and be soft and gentle and quiet with yourself. And ask yourself to remember. Ask your higher self. Ask your consciousness to remember who you are and what you need to be doing and how you need to be doing it in this age and time. Sure, a lot of these things are distractions, okay? But you got Asian people actually coming out their mouth with a Black scent at that. Talk about something. I mean, what y'all gonna do about Jordans and what y'all gonna do about Samsung phone? Like, they want us to need them, but it's them who are addicted to us. They are addicted to us. Okay, I saw a sister saying that a doctor was talking about a whole study that was done. I don't know if y'all seen it on TikTok, where she was like, you know, they were looking at the brain patterns and the brain waves of people who are racist, and they found that they were similar to those who are addicts. That's why we always in your mouth. That's why you do whatever it is that we do. Insane in the membrane. Like I was saying, y'all motherfuckers is crazy, and y'all need some help. Cause I'm over here in Asia. I see the colorism. I see how y'all